Namaste. This is David Hawthorne at astroview.com. Today is the 16th of February, 2016. The following is the Vedic Astrology overview reading of the horoscope for Antonin Scalia, based on the 11th of March, 1936, at 8:55 p.m. in Trenton, New Jersey. Now, His Honor Scalia was the Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States from 1986 until his death 3 days ago on February 13th, 2016. He was considered the intellectual anchor for the court's conservative wing. He originally attended college at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., and then obtained his law degree from Harvard Law School. He became a law school professor at the University of Virginia. And in the early 1970s, he served for both President Nixon and President Ford administrations. Eventually, he became the Assistant Attorney General. He married in 1960, still married until the time of his death. He had 9 children. He died in his sleep from a possible heart attack on the early morning of February 13th. This is only the second time in 60 years that a Supreme Court justice, has died without retiring from the court. So, according to Vedic astrology, we see that in the first house, he has the 7th sign of the zodiac ascending or rising at 3 degrees 40 minutes of Libra. So this is called Tula Lagna, Libra rising sign. And this is Chandra, the moon, in the first house. Anytime somebody has moon in the first house, there's a lot of light coming from that person. They have good family instincts. Makes them a bit of a mother even. Moon is mother. 9 children. Now, moon in this chart rules his 10th house, the 4th sign of Cancer. And the 10th house is the house of karma, career, professional life. So this brings public favor, brings career to him, professional life to him, and public favor to him. It's still a pretty bright moon. If moon was over here opposite sun, it would be a full moon. But this is only 32, 42 degrees after a full moon, so still quite a bright moon. And that's considered quite good. Now he is a Libra rising sign. This is an air sign. And air sign persons are intelligent persons. And Libras can have magnetic personality. They can be very persuasive, very intelligent. There are only 3 air signs: Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And these are considered the intellectuals in life. And notice, not only is he a Libra rising sign, an air sign, he's got moon in an air sign. He has sun in an air sign, Aquarius, Saturn in an air sign, Mercury in an air sign, Venus in an air sign. And this is Ketu, spirituality, the 9th house of Dharma, in an air sign. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 connections with air signs. Intelligence. In the 2nd house, he has the 8th sign Scorpio, 3rd house, 9th sign Sagittarius. This is the house, 3rd house is the house of independence and self-expression, mental development. And we have Jupiter, which rules education and law and religion and morality, in the 3rd house of independence and self-expression. Now this is Rahu, northern node of the moon. Now if Rahu was at 3 degrees, it would be causing trouble here. This is called most effective point of every house. Any planet within 5 degrees of the most effective point has an impact. So it would start about 28 degrees and go up to 8 degrees. So in this chart, Rahu and Ketu at 16 degrees are benign. They're causing no damage. Rahu in the 3rd house gives early mental development. In fact, even in school, in very young school, he was always the top of his class He had no time for sports or play. He was always an intellectual, always. Every school, every class he was ever at, he was at the top. So this is at Rahu in the third house of mental development and self-expression. So we gave him very early mental development. Fourth house, we have the 10th sign Capricorn. And here in the fifth house, we have the 11th sign Aquarius. Now we have Surya, Shani, Bud, and Shukra, Sun, Saturn, Mercury, and Venus in the fifth house. This is the house of mind. Look how complex his mind is. 4 planets in the house of mind. It's also the house of higher education, a lot of education. So Sun gives royal thinking and government thinking. Saturn gives deep conservative thinking, very conservative judge. Mercury in the third house gives intellectual thinking, international thinking, because Mercury rules the 12th house. And Venus rules the chart. It's in the house of mind and the house of education. He thrived on education. Now all 4 of these are in Aquarius, which is an air sign. So that makes his mind and these planets unconventional, imaginative, and inventive, and humanitarian. Very complex mind. Government, public service, intellectual capability, and Venus is also connected with education and law as well. Now in the 6th house, he has the 12th sign Pisces, and we have Mars in Pisces. Now this is not a favorable house. 6th house, the 8th house, and 12th house are called Dustan Bhavas, inauspicious houses. Planets going to those houses become weak. So Mars rules the 7th house of relationships, and it's in the house of conflict. So this, to me, suggests that he had conflict in his relationships, primarily with liberals and Democrats. I think there could also have been some tension relative to his wife and any partners. This is the house of conflict in Mars, as it has to do with courage. Very courageous conflict, for example, and logic. In the 7th house, we have the first sign Aries, ruled by Mars. 8th house, second sign Taurus. 9th house, third sign Gemini. So this is Ketu, is detachment in the house of father, in the house of gurus, and spirituality. This is not a bad placement for Ketu at all. 10th house, fourth sign Cancer, ruled by the royal moon, so moon rules the career. Libras usually do pretty well in their careers because their career is ruled by the royal moon. And moon comes to the first house. That does give career, and it gives public favor, public notice. 11th house, fifth sign Leo, so this is ruled by the sun, and sun ruling gains and incomes in the house of education. Into the 12th house, we have the sixth sign Virgo, ruled by Mercury. Mercury is in the 5th house, unconventional mind. Now the chart is not without some fault and some problems. Mercury actually is the most malefic planet, and it does afflict the 5th house of mind. So maybe brought some depression. And it could maybe bring some trouble for his children. Some losses and expenses on account of children, and maybe some separation from children. The saving grace is that all these planets are in Aquarius, and Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, and this is an extremely well-placed Saturn. It is combust. It would have been good for him to wear a blue sapphire gemstone and dark blue colors and black colors. So he wore the black robes of a judge. But we would say that there's a lot of intelligence in this chart. A lot of conservative thinking connected with the government and politics. A lot of independent projects connected with law. He was always very keen on teaching. He wanted to teach law. This is self-expression. So we see in terms of the timing of events that he went into his 20 years of Venus back in February 2008. Venus is in the house of children, grandchildren, higher education. It's weak at 0 degrees. There's 30 degrees possible. And the first 5 degrees is infant state. So this is a weak Venus. So it doesn't quite protect him. Weak Venus sometimes causes trouble with the blood sugar level. It can cause obesity or cancer or diabetes. The current operating planet is Rahu, the northern node of the moon that started back in April 2015. So if we take a look at the transit chart, so he passed away 3 days ago, so we're going to do that. It was supposed to be in the middle of the night, so we'll move this up here to, let's say, 4 o'clock in the morning or something like that. That won't make much difference. What we're looking for is this inner circle is this exact same chart here. This is just the circular format. Then the outer circle is the transit chart. So first off, look at this. Rahu and Jupiter have been in close conjunction since the middle of December, and it's for all of January and all of February. Well, what is Jupiter? It's religion and law and education. And what is Rahu? An eclipse. So these two have been, this Jupiter's been in serious trouble for almost 2 months. So that's part of the issue. On the 13th, look at Sun. Sun rules the heart. Sun was at 0 degrees infant state, totally powerless. And look at this. This is transit Ketu. Rahu and Ketu are mathematical ecliptic points in the zodiac. They cause the eclipse of the sun and the moon. So Ketu in transit at 27 degrees was sitting on top of his sun, his natal sun. So take this Ketu, put him right here. So Ketu has been pounding on his sun for a good month. So this is a problem. Ketu is an eclipse. It can cause inflammation, and sun is the heart. So I think that transitive, and that means Rahu also was afflicting sun. So transit Rahu, transit Ketu were afflicting sun, which is the heart. And this sun here is utterly weak at 0 degrees, the transit sun, so no power to the sun. So I do think it was a heart attack that caused his death. He was in a Rahu subperiod, operating planet, and Rahu is afflicting Jupiter, ruling law, ruling his own self-efforts. And Rahu and Ketu are both afflicting sun, ruling the heart. So I think these are the main points from the chart. So here's another view of the transit chart over here. So this Ketu at 27 degrees was sitting on top of the sun. And then this Rahu was afflicting this Jupiter. Okay, these are the main points. Hope this is helpful. Namaste.